Hi, now we're ready to start the whole wheat bread that we saw ground by David and Labina High. So, what we're going to do now is I'm going to be using this small wood trough for the flour. Put more oil in it. Spread it around. Now, this is the flour that Labina gave me after she'd finished grinding it. This is a good example of how to prepare bread flour, or actually a dough, when you have simply one type of flour. We're going to put, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double handfuls of flour. I'm going to get some sugar out. We won't put too much in. Maybe a handful. And then probably about a teaspoon of salt, otherwise known as a smidgen or a tad. Now, let's add some flour, let's add some sourdough to the flour. Again, being very careful not to overdo it, not to put too much in at once. Using our hands, we'll get the starter into the whole wheat. I'm going to be very interested in seeing what kind of whole wheat bread we're going to get with this flour. I want to know how dense it's going to be and how much it's going to rise. Now, we'll add some more starter. This small trough makes about half of what the large one does. And we'll work the starter into the dough. When I was doing market baking at a nearby farmer's market one summer, a woman came up and asked me to make some rye bread for her. I didn't have any for sale that day, and I said I'd be glad to make it. She specified, however, that it had to be 100% rye. I told her it wouldn't work. So there's no gluten in rye, and the bread would be basically dense as a brick. No, 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 she said. She bought some 100% rye in Philadelphia. It rose nicely, had a great texture, and that's what she wanted. Well, I told her I wouldn't charge her for the bread because I knew what would happen. I made it, brought it to her the very next week. Sure enough, it was dense as a brick, and it wasn't at all what she was expecting. I have a feeling she felt that somehow I was at fault. I didn't really want to tell her the baker had obviously lied to her about the bread. What we're doing now is working the starter into the flour, and we're going to add some more flour to it. I don't expect this bread to rise as much as our other bread will, but it has the bread flour in it, so I can actually add more flour and get it closer to the top without having it run over. That's a sure sign you have a really great starter is when you come in the morning and see the dough has pushed off the towel and is actually laying in large clumps on the floor. It shows you your starter is doing its thing by growing profusely. This is a very gritty flour. Gritty may not be the right word, but I can tell it's certainly coarse. I think that's all the starter I'm going to add. Let's put some more flour in it. At this point, you can see how the bread dough is starting to separate from the walls or from the sides of the dough trough. The kneading is working. It's starting to form a clump of dough. I have some here on my fingers. I'm going to work back into the dough. We'll see what sort of elasticity we're going to get with this dough. We'll see how it stretches and how it clings together. Again, my kneading is a process of pressing down, folding over, pressing, folding, pressing, and folding. I think we have enough flour in it. You can see how it's no longer sticking to the sides. All right, let's see what we have here. It is elastic, not as elastic as the 50-50 bread. I can tell it's going to be a denser loaf. It's not springing back as much as it would if it had bread flour in it. But it could have a very special texture and a very special flavor. So, we're going to do the same thing with this that we did with the first batch. We're going to cover it up. We're going to set it aside overnight. I'm going to put it on the dough table. Both troughs will sit here. The dough is going to be rising. We'll come back tomorrow morning and see what we've got. Now tomorrow is bake day. It's going to be a long day. We're going to have to get up early. We're going to be baking all day, so make sure you get plenty of rest and come here refreshed tomorrow morning. Bye now.